welcome back to my channel. It is AK Educator _ curlz here, also known as Nia. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to train your hair and hair health and all of that jazz. I got a question really just about or one of the questions I get a lot is my hair texture looks like this in some places and this in other places. And so one of the questions that I always ask people at the beginning is like, what are you doing with your hair? Okay. Are you braiding it? Are you wearing it natural? Are you heat styling it? What are you doing with your hair? And there's a couple of answers that I can get across the line that kind of lead me down a different path. So I have talked to women and men who are braiding their hair constantly. And then they're asking me a lot about the tension that braids and sometimes protective styles, depending upon your hair texture. And when I say hair texture, I have medium fine curly hair. So when my hair is wet, it is extremely silky and soft, right? So braids and things like that, things that cause a lot of tension around my scalp, things that cause a lot of manipulation, they do not work for me. They are not protective in nature for me. That is my truth. I may get attacked for that here on YouTube, but it doesn't work for me and my hair texture. But I have met women who have coarser textures of hair that is very much so how they protect their hair. And it really comes down to what is your hair texture? What are the characteristics of your hair and what works for you? Okay. And so I always throw that caveat in there, but for, I'll have that conversation and they're talking about, oh, my hair is breaking. And I'm like, probably not the best style for you because you're not going to retain length in that way. You are also breaking your hair bonds and breaking the hair down often with all the shedding that you're getting and all the breakage you're getting. It's probably not the best routine for you. On the other end of that spectrum, I have people in conversations that are wearing weaves and things like that, but they're leaving out a section of their hair and straightening that. And then they're upset because there's sections of their hair that is straighter, where the curls are not really popping type of thing. And they're asking me what to do. And my plain, simple answer always is stop straightening. You are never going to make the texture what you want it to be, or you're never going to see your authentic and real texture because you're straightening. Straightening literally breaks the bonds of the hair. So you can follow YouTubers, or you may have followed YouTubers for years. Jess, Hey Gorgeous is one of them, and Jade Godbolt, who both transitioned out of wearing their natural hair, and they straighten a lot. When you see their wet hair, their curl texture is no longer what it used to be, right? That is the natural consequence of straightening. That is what it is. Even without relaxers and chemicals, it does not matter. It is going to alter your curl pattern, okay? So if I am straightening my hair every week, I'm altering my curl pattern. It is always going to be the truth. There is no way around that. And so I have conversations with people where I'm like, if you're complaining about how thin your hair is or fine your hair is, and you want, this out of your hair, you've got to stop doing the things that work against that. And that's really what it comes down to. And so with those women, I have a lot of conversations around, okay, what styles can you maintain with your natural texture and less heat to be able to train your hair to respond to product and to thrive in its curly state? And what does that really look like, and what does it mean? And so some of the things that I've had conversations with people about is, what does it look like to wear curly buns? You still have to be careful about that because of the tension of the pull, but what does it mean to wear curly buns? What does it mean to twist the hair at night or braid the hair at night, to flexi rod the ends, to perm rod the ends, and keep that texture mixed into there? What does it look like to rod set your hair? And then air dry. What does it look like to do those types of things without the heat manipulation? And I recognize that for a lot of people, that's a lot. For me, it was a lot. When I was transitioning, I was like, nope, I am not doing this. Chop off. Whole chop off. I don't want to do this. I don't want to play with multiple textures. I don't want some of my hair to respond to water and product and some to not. So I chopped all my hair off, and I was cool with that. And that was my journey, my truth. Some people are not comfortable doing that, right? And so you have to be able to work with, where you at with, what you can do, what you like, what works for you, and the reality of this is the thing that you're saying you want, right? I've also seen women, after understanding that, and men understanding that, say, nope, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna stay where I'm at, right? And so then we work a little bit more about, like, what does it mean to replenish the moisture in your hair or rebond your hair and things like that? And what does it mean to stretch your heat usage, right? So I have also seen natural women. Jade Gobble is one who wears her hair curly sometimes and wears it straight most of the time now, for sure. But there was a period of time where she was switching between the two, and she was stretching her heat styling. And because she was stretching her heat styling, she was maintaining the elasticity in her curls by replenishing it with things like the Bond Salve from Curlsmith and Olaplex, the number 3, right? She was using things that were putting bonds back into the hair, protein back in the hair, and then stretching the heat styling to be able to make a routine that worked for her. That is something that I've also seen people do, and it really worked. And I think it's all about what you want out of your hair and your routine. For someone like me, I wanted to be fully natural, and I didn't want the game of heat and straight and, sometimes and sometimes not. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely times where I have straightened my curly hair. It is rare. It happens maybe once, twice a year, for that reason. I don't like how it alters my curls. I always really struggle to get my curls back. Like, I get them back, but it takes a minute to get my curls back into its zhuzh, its thing, and that's not something I really enjoy about that process. And so I think it's all about you. It's all about, like, what works for you. But the main key point is, if you are training your hair to respond to natural hair products and to function in its naturally curly state and maximize its ability to do that, you have to stop doing other things to it so that it can grow and it can, like, flourish. And heat styling is one of those. I have seen girls do, like, lace front wigs. I think that actually works really, really well for a lot of women. I have seen women do wigs, like curly wigs. And I actually really like curly extensions. I think that that's a huge, huge win. So for a lot of women, the issue is actually not their texture. It is the length of the hair when it is in its textured state. And so, like, I really like the idea of curly extensions. I just don't put in the effort to do those things, but I think that those are ways that you could definitely, like, make it work. The other thing that I would say is, like, learning to train your hair. So when I say train your hair, one of the things I often talk about people is, like, what is your routine? How are you caring for your hair? How are you moisturizing your hair? How are you washing, going your hair? What does it look like to do your hair in a week's time? For me, Sundays are my days that I typically shampoo, deep condition, steam, all of that jazz typically happens in that day. For the last few weeks, I've been twisting from Sunday night to about Wednesday. And I take the twist out and I wash and go for the rest of the week, until we come back to that Sunday. It can vary depending upon, like, if I go to the pool. Like, I live in Houston, so it's warm, and that is an access point for me, right? So it can depend if I go to the pool or if I work out really hard and I really need to get my hair wet. There are some times where I don't twist for, Sunday to Wednesday, and I do wash and go a lot more in that week, but I co-wash in between those things. I don't use shampoo again. I replenish with a little bit of deep conditioner, and I leave that in while I'm in the shower, and then I rinse it out and style. And, like, for me, it's all about the nutrients I'm putting in my hair. I also take hair, skin, and nails vitamins at the same time. I'm really conscious of how much water I consume, what that means for my hair, because I'm also very conscious about what that means for my skin. And I think there's just more about the routine that you have to be considerate of, right? Hair is one of those things that is made up of proteins and bonds. And so if you are lacking in any of those areas, it is also going to impact your ability to do that. Then there's also maintenance, right? What does it look like to trim your hair? I trim my hair about every 3 months. And so every time I trim, I'm always like, dang, I cut it, but it grows back so fast after that. And that's super important to the health of my hair personally. The other thing that I talk to people a lot about is how you protect your hair. My curls are very tight, as you can see on camera. And so when they get woven into clothing, when they get stuck on things, when they knot in themselves, that also implicates, the texture, the health of my hair, all of those things. And so I have to be very cognizant of that. So when you think about routine, you want to think about all of those pieces because they're extremely important. Okay. Those are the main things that I think I have conversations with people about and really push people to consider is like, where are you trying to go and what are you currently doing to get there? Because if you're doing things to undo it, it's not going to work, right? And that is the reality of natural hair. One of the things that I tell people all the time is I wet trained my hair for the whole first 3 years of being natural, which means I wash and go every day because my hair was resistant to water. At the very beginning, I struggled. My porosity was very different than it is now. And so it's really, really about how do you get, especially if you're transitioning from being relaxed, how do you get your hair used to being wet? When you're a relaxer, you're not wetting your hair very typically. And so your hair doesn't know how to respond to water. It's just not doing that, right? And so I think it's really, really important to learn where do you want to go? And what are you doing to get there? What's your routine look like? What are the things that you're doing to actively move toward that goal? And that's super, super important. Okay. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for you guys today that I really wanted to talk about and really thinking about all of those pieces. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, comment, like, subscribe, share with friends. If you know someone who is struggling with their natural hair journey, share this tip, share this video. I think women are in very different places. And as you guys see in media right now, there is a wave of relaxed women coming back. And what does that mean? And I think there are tips that relaxed women can even take from natural women and do to their relaxed hair. I think if I would have deep conditioned my hair when I was relaxed, I might have had a different hair journey, right? But really, really being clear about where you want to go, whatever journey that is, and what are you doing to get there. And I think that's super, super important. So thanks so much for tuning in. As always, have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.